It was supposed to be a normal Saturday afternoon. 17-year-old Malik Johnson had just left his friend's house after helping with a science project. Backpack slung over his shoulder, headphones in his ears, walking home like he had 100 times before. But this time, a police cruiser slowed beside him. The officer rolled down his window, asked him what he was doing in this neighborhood. Malik looked confused. "I live here," he replied. But the cop wasn't listening. 2 minutes later, Malik was in handcuffs on the cold pavement. No reason, no explanation, just skin color and suspicion. Someone had seen the arrest and called Malik's father, Colonel David Johnson, retired U.S. Army, decorated, respected, and black. He arrived fast, not yelling, not aggressive. He simply asked, "Why is my son in cuffs?" The officer hesitated. Because the truth? There was no reason. And David knew it. A neighbor had recorded the entire incident. That video? It hit the internet like wildfire. People were outraged. A straight-A student, never been in trouble, detained for walking home while black. Protests started. News stations called. And Malik was pulled into a spotlight he never asked for. But Malik didn't crumble. He didn't disappear. He spoke. Not with anger, but with clarity. He told his story on camera, at schools, on podcasts. And what started as a tragedy became a turning point, because other teens stepped forward. That happened to me too. I was followed. I was searched. I was scared. And for the first time, Malik realized he wasn't alone. Together with his father, Malik helped form a new initiative, a program that taught youth their rights, that helped bridge conversations between students and police. And it grew, from 1 city to 10 to 50. Years later, a high school junior named Jalen Knox drew a picture in art class. It was a sketch of a black boy being profiled by police. A teacher saw it and said it was inappropriate. Jalen was suspended, but just like Malik years before, his story caught attention. He found Malik's old interview online, watched it 10 times in a row, and reached out. Malik called him back personally, told him, "You're not wrong for telling the truth. They're just not ready to hear it." From there, Jalen launched a student-led program called Speak, Student Protection, Education, and Accountability Kinetics. It gave teens tools, language, power. They weren't waiting for permission anymore. They were taking up space. Jalen presented a bill to protect students from biased school policing. He was 18. He stood before a full panel of lawmakers. They listened, nodded, and then nothing happened. The bill was shelved. The media moved on. Jalen was crushed. Malik called. "Change doesn't always start with a gavel," he said. "It starts with persistence." Jalen didn't give up. Instead, he expanded Speak to every state. High schools launched town halls. Colleges began policy workshops. Youth led the charge. And slowly, the system couldn't ignore them anymore. Meanwhile, across the city, a retired officer named Eric Dalton was watching. He had been there during Malik's arrest, 10 years ago. He didn't touch Malik, didn't yell, but he also didn't stop it. And that haunted him. One night, he wrote Malik a letter, not asking for forgiveness, but admitting his silence. And Malik? He met with him, face to face. They talked quietly, honestly. And from that meeting, Eric became one of Speak's trainers, teaching young officers what silence costs. Soon, Malik and Jalen were invited to Geneva. The United Nations wanted to hear their story. And when they arrived, they met youth from everywhere: Kenya, Brazil, South Korea, the UK, each one fighting their own version of injustice. And just like that, a global alliance was born, Global Speak. A week later, they received a call from Kenya. A 15-year-old named Ayo had been arrested after a peaceful protest. He had quoted Malik in his speech. Jalen and Malik flew out the next day. And in just 6 days, Ayo was released. A new law was proposed. And another country joined the movement. Years passed. And then one day, Malik stepped away from it all. Not out of defeat, but because he knew He had done his part. He gave his final speech at the Global Youth Summit, then turned off his phone, shut down his accounts, and disappeared into peace. Not retirement. Legacy. Today, Jalen leads Global Speak. He mentors youth. He speaks on justice, equity, and healing. And he always ends his talks with the same sentence. They tried to silence one boy, but all they did was wake the world. Life lesson from this story: never underestimate the ones they try to silence. Because sometimes, the boy they arrested becomes the man who rewrites the rules. Subscribe to Crime Files Uncovered for exciting and thrilling stories.